Hello everybody and welcome to another Outlaws of the Old West video. Today's going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to be doing a live recording and then putting it up here. I'm going to be talking over gameplay footage. Basically, I've hit the point where I've experienced all the content and tested everything that there is in Outlaws of the Old West right now. So I thought it would be a good idea to kind of go over what we can expect for this game, how long it's going to be in early access, what we can expect as far as features go, and stuff like that. So basically what I'm going to be doing in the background here is building my mayor's mansion, because I'm a mayor of Peaceful Valley and every mayor needs a good mansion. So I've built the ranch and now I need a house. So I'm going to be doing that while I talk about what I've researched in Outlaws of the Old West. So I hope you all enjoy this video and let's get right into it. So first of all, I tried testing out the bounty hunter system and bandit system. I got my morality all the way up to like 15k just by going out and shooting bandits, which took a few hours to wait for the bandits to respawn, but I found that when I got my morality super high, nothing changed. Bandits did not come and attack my town or my house or anything like that. On the flip side, I also got my morality down to about negative 14,000, and on my private server, the bounty hunters actually didn't come and hunt me because I'm listed as an admin on that server. And then when I logged in my single player account to try and test it out, I had 14,000 morality and I would have had to punch a horse for probably half a day in order to get my morality negative to test out the bounty hunting feature. Plus, my whole base disappeared on my single player server, so I wouldn't have really had anywhere to have a shootout with bounty hunters if they did come chase me, but I'm going to revisit that because I really want to see what the bounty hunters look like with their bear pets and everything. So that's the first matter of business, is that was going to be kind of my last testing video of features, but unfortunately I couldn't test either, but I might try again after they've done a few more content updates. Next, I wanted to talk about the state of the game right now and also the state of the community right now. Currently the developers have been adding prefabricated buildings, like stores, you know, the gunsmith and the hotel and stuff like that. They've been adding prefabricated buildings, which means we can't build them. They're static structures and they all have an NPC inside that you can interact with. All in all, the community doesn't seem to be too happy with them, and I understand why, because as I said in my last video, this game is about the freedom to kind of build your own way out in the Old West, and it takes some of that away. But I was wondering, since my base kind of disappeared on the single player server, if they hit some kind of technological limitation that has caused them to realize that if they can move people away from using a ton of building pieces, that the disappearing bases might stop. You know, with the hope that the prefab buildings would take place of what we would be building and take the load, I assume it's a memory issue, off of the servers as far as memory goes. So that was just a thought, but I'm really hoping that things go back in the other direction and we start seeing more building pieces added, more decorations added, and less of these prefabs. Although they definitely have their place, and I do think they're pretty cool and well designed. I just wish we had the freedom to do that ourselves. So the second point I wanted to make about the community is that right now we're seeing a pretty big fluctuation in player numbers, obviously more on the weekends, less during the week kind of thing. But in general, I think the numbers have gone down. I've been watching the Steam charts a lot, and honestly, that's pretty normal for a game in early access, especially when the community isn't too thrilled with the way things are going. So the way I look at it is that this game is going to be in early access for about a year, or so the developers have told us. They've been putting out updates pretty quickly, and if they keep up with this, that means that there's going to be a ton of content in this game. So I think what the community is looking for right now is not content in the form of prefab buildings, but they're looking for actual things to do in the game besides build and collect resources, because right now that's really all you can do. The bandit killing only gets you so far, and actually being a bandit only gets you so far, or being an outlaw. Because once you've experienced the bounty hunters or players coming after you, that's pretty much the end of the experience. Now, also, RP servers, role-playing servers, I think are doing significantly better because they build their own content. There are ways of interacting when you're role-playing. It's not for everybody, but it's just interesting to see that role-playing servers are doing quite well, I think. I've noticed I run a pretty small server. We have, between 3 and 8 people on during the day, so very small. And we have some role-play elements in it. We have state boundaries that are coming into play soon, and we're going to have mayors of towns throughout the map. We're going to have a custom map, but we just do not get the traffic that a serious role-playing server gets. And here's a quick info drop from the developers that tell us a little bit about what's going to be added to the game. Currently, we plan to add additional biomes, region-specific clothing, new PvE engagements, boats, additional wildlife, additional craftable equipment, additional harvesting materials, bounty hunting, additional animations, voiceover, vendors, increased map size, and general quality of life and bug fixes. The features that stuck out the most to me there were definitely new PvE engagements and boats, because there is quite a bit of water in the game, basically the form of the big river that runs down the middle of the map. So I can only imagine boat travel would be pretty cool, although I could see how it'd be really easy to just block a river off from letting people through. So that'll be really interesting to see how they implement that. And also PvE engagements. I'm really hoping these engagements will come in the form of things that involve crafted materials that hold certain values in some towns but may not be as valuable in other towns. That way there's not only a reason to travel, but there's a reason to raid other towns for those valuable resources, and also, of course, give you a reason to actually craft items if you're not going to use them, which is pretty good for the economy. So you guys, no matter how frustrating this phase of development for the game might be right now with this flood of prefabs, at least we know we have this list to fall back on. Hopefully the developers will stick to their word with what they want to add. I guess we can just cross our fingers and wish for the best. The next item on my list I wanted to talk about is the gold mining in the game. I'm not sure if any of you noticed when looking through the game trailer itself or on the store page, there are GIFs of people mining gold nodes outside of mines. Has anybody else noticed this? It makes me kind of curious if they're going to add rare nodes out in the world, or if that was strictly just to show us the gold being mined. I don't really know. I think it's kind of an important thing to find out though, because right now, mines, if placed too close together, are shareable. I believe I've heard people say that they're not shareable and that we're all crazy. I've heard people say that mines definitely are shared server-wide and that people are able to get into everybody else's mines by entering their own. So obviously this is a huge problem when resources are depleted, and it does take 6 hours for resources to respawn within the mine, so a lot of people are left high and dry after paying quite a bit of gold to have their mine built. So curious to see if maybe the developers are going to add some sparse nodes out throughout the world. Personally, I would like to see a gold panning system added so that we can make, smaller amounts of gold, but still set up a gold panning area or a wash plant, like an old-fashioned wash plant. I would personally love to see that happen so that we don't have to rely on mines so much. So what do you guys think? Do you think that was strictly just to show us the mining mechanic, or do you think that's something that they might add down the road? Alright, here is the last feature I wanted to talk about that I haven't really heard many people talking about, but I know it's requested. So this has to do with wildlife in Outlaws of the Old West. Here it says, a plethora of varying wildlife roam throughout the land. Some species may even be tamed. Make sure you are properly equipped, as not all are friendly. So we know that we can tame horses, so to speak. We can lasso them and ride them. But this suggests that we, in the future, will have other ways of taming wildlife. And I don't mean just the silly skunk that follows you around. I mean maybe like a bear, like the bounty hunters have. I'd love to be able to tame wolves or even the little coyotes that run around. So not sure if many of you were aware that the devs even mentioned that we may be able to tame animals, but I'm hoping it's something that we can look forward to in the future. I'm really hoping that this is not referring to cows, pigs, and sheep. I'm hoping this refers to actual wildlife and not just livestock, because usually once you get a few generations of livestock going, they just become domestic and they're used to seeing humans, so technically you don't really need to tame them in the same respects as you would, say, like a wolf or a bear or a wildcat or something like that. So I'm really hoping this refers to wildlife and not livestock. So that was just my quick look into how I think the development of Outlaws of the Old West is going right now, its future, and the views of the community. I really think that it's going through a rough time, obviously. I mean, you can tell from the disgruntled forum posts and Discord threads, but we all have to remember that this is early access. There are some things I think that they should be prioritizing over other things. They need to be fixing bugs instead of adding prefabs. They need to be dealing with hackers instead of adding more prefabs. And they also need to be maybe listening to the community a little bit more so they can hang on to their testers to help improve future early access releases. As a game that takes place in the Old West, I'm still going to be following this very closely. I'm going to be doing videos on all of the updates that come to the game, but I might be slowing down on my every other day videos because honestly, all we can really do right now is build and gather resources, and if I were more into RP, maybe I could do videos on RP, but unfortunately I'm not the type of person to stay in an RP character all the time. I'd really like to know what your thoughts are on the game, where you think it's headed. Are you happy with it? Are you unhappy with it? I'd really like to know. I have a nice community built around Outlaws of the Old West so far, and I've really been enjoying it, so of course what you guys think matters a lot to me as well, so feel free to post down below about what you think. Also, my private server Replica's Roost is still going strong. I'm planning on keeping it open all through early access so you guys can think of it as a place to come and enjoy the game with me if you ever want to do that. As I said, it's a pretty small server population right now and we're always looking for more settlers, so if you want more information on my private server, go ahead and jump in my Discord. The Discord is for my whole channel, so you can talk about any kind of games that you want there, not just Outlaws of the Old West, but there is a section in there dedicated to Replica's Roost. And that about wraps it up for this video. It was a different kind of video. I hope you all stuck with me. If you did, thank you very much. I hope you had some coffee with you while you did. I just thought I would share my thoughts on the game. I kind of enjoyed researching what the future of Outlaws of the Old West might look like, and I hope you enjoyed listening to what I had to say. So until next time, I will see you all in the next video, and of course, as always, enjoy your games.